And now we're back for episode 10. This is what I've been talking about for a while, the Pothead. Oh, this guy was a loser. When I bought my first duplex, he was already living in the top floor. And let me tell you about the Pothead. His name was Austin. That's his real first name. He was about 21 years old, about 5'8", real skinny, some really messed up teeth, like he was on meth or something. I don't know. I never saw him use meth. All I know is he was a big time pot smoker. Him and his girlfriend and his roommate. They're all. I don't much care about that myself, but it says something to me about the quality of the person. No, you're on dope? Okay. They're already a step down with me as far as I'm concerned. Whatever your reason for smoking this stuff is. Anyhow, is the name I gave to him because whenever he would talk to me, he had a real deep voice and he would talk real slow. I don't know. Hey, how's it going? I got your rent for you. Like that. And lived in the apartment with his girlfriend and their daughter, who was about 2 at the time, and a male friend slash roommate who helped work and pay the bills. So hey, as long as they're all working together to get me my rent money, I don't care. Whatever. So when I bought the place, I talked to them and I said, hey, here's how it is. Your rent is $650 a month, but we'll make it 600 if you cut the grass here. And this was not a big yard. I could just walk around a yard and have it done in 20 minutes without even trying to rush or anything. And oh yeah, man, I'll get it. Yeah, okay, no problem. I got a lawnmower. I'll bring it over here and I'll cut the grass. So, well, his idea of cutting the grass and my idea of cutting the grass were two different things. In that, I like to cut the grass before it's a foot tall. And on top of that, he had a dog who was already in the apartment when I bought the place, so I kind of had to let it stay. And this dog would take the dog out in the front yard and not clean up after it. And I would count at times as many as 40 piles of dog crap in the front yard. And always had an excuse for his failures. Like, I got home late last night. It was raining. I'll get it tomorrow. Well, you took the dog out. You're there with the dog. You bring the dog in. Why not just clean it up right then and there? Like, don't worry about it, man. I'll get it. Yeah, right. So, anyhow, despite all these complications, the rent was getting paid. They weren't causing me any real problems. Even the dog wasn't a problem that much the first year. But after 2019 ended, 2020 began, and his girlfriend got their tax refund early in the tax season. And as soon as she had the check, she moved out of the apartment with the check, with the daughter, and with the male friend roommate. Oh, what's going on here? They moved about a half a mile away and left there in the apartment all by himself. I can only imagine what was happening in there when was out at whatever landscaping job he had during all the time he was there. So um, I told say, hey, if you want to get someone else in here to be your roommate to help pay the bills, that's fine with me. And he found someone before very long, and that guy's name was Lenny, who moved in with them when they both sat around playing games, smoking pot, just not cutting the grass to my satisfaction or cleaning up after the dog. And but still, the rent was more or less getting paid on time. Maybe the first week or two of the month, I'd get the rent. It was always a stack of $20 bills. And okay, well, the rent's getting paid. We're getting by, so I'm not going to make too big of a deal out of it. But when the whole COVID chung flu thing really started going up and all the liberal politicians are looking any way they can to get more votes for themselves, they started passing these policies where you cannot evict a renter if they don't pay the rent. And this whole cancel the rent thing that happened for a while. So, well, you're not canceling my rent. I got a mortgage to pay. I'm paying the taxes and the insurance in this house. You signed a lease. You knew the deal. If you ain't paying, you ain't staying. It's that simple. You can go live under a bridge in the middle of winter for all I care. You knew the deal. Anyhow, one of his little characteristics was he would never have a phone call with me. It was always a text. He always wanted to have a text. So if there was ever problems, he could have the chat log there and show someone, oh, look at what he said, So once this whole thing began, yeah, man, it's wintertime and I'm getting a lot of landscaping work. And here's the paper I had to get. And it says you can't evict me because I didn't pay the rent. Well, it says I can't evict you because you didn't pay the rent. It doesn't say anything about all the lease violations you've been doing for so long. And I'll use those to throw you out. And I did. It didn't help that this idiot had been in front of the same local magistrate 2 other times in the previous 6 months for what? Not paying bills, debt collection lawsuits. So here he is coming back to court with me for the 3rd time. What? You didn't pay another bill? Oh, what a surprise. So when it came time for our eviction hearing, I sat in there nice and quietly at my thing, didn't say a word, let them do all the talking. The judge talked to both of us, and he talked to him and tell your side of the story. I just sat nice and quietly, not saying a word, not looking at him, not making a face, just, waiting my turn. And then when it came time for the magistrate to talk to me, it's, okay, what's he been doing wrong? Well, I picked up my piece of paper that had about 6 different paragraphs on it of lease violations he'd been doing, and I picked it up in such a way that I picked it up with the paragraphs facing the magistrate so he could see all I was about to read. I turned around, well, Your Honor, yeah, this thing here in paragraph number 1, he did all this, didn't do that. The lease says this, he didn't do that. Number 2, he says, yeah, okay, then. And halfway through number 2, the judge is like, yeah, all right, I get it. So he's looking at the guy, well, why didn't you clean up after your dog? Well, you were there with the dog, weren't you? You brought the dog back in. Why couldn't you just clean up right then? And of course, he's like, he didn't have a good answer. So yeah, go on, make yourself look like an even bigger idiot. So that's what happened with him. He got evicted real quick. The whole thing took a few months because I had to file the papers, wait the 10 days, then wait for this, then wait for the court date. Then after that, he gets evicted, 15 days if he wants to appeal. And so it was March by the time he got out of there. And I had to do a whole lot of cleanup in a place and a lot of repair and things that just, had been deteriorating over time. But the apartment was empty for about 5 months. It got all cleaned, rebuilt, repainted, new countertop, new kitchen sink assembly and faucet, whatever needed fixed got fixed. It's in good shape now. One of the real satisfactions I had with though, was because he would never talk on a phone, it was always a text. And it became my goal to write as little as possible, maybe a sentence or 2, and say something so stupid, wrong, or whatever that I thought would irritate him, and he would write back a whole big full screen wall of text. And a few times I worked in the whole thing about, so how's your girlfriend doing with her new boyfriend over in that other apartment? And he's like, yeah, it's a cheap shot. Yeah, whatever. Hey, whatever. My goal was just to irritate him. I knew I wasn't going to get the money out of him, so I had to get some satisfaction some way. And he just kept falling for it every time. You would think after a while he would learn. I'm just trying to push him into, writing this, big text battle on the phone. I write, a sentence, or I'll just write okay or whatever, or no, and see how much that stirs him into writing again. So that was my way of getting some fun out of the whole thing. So let me think for a moment here. The Pothead. Oh, yeah, he was just kind of an all-around general loser. He had some really crazy theories about why it was okay to not clean up after the dog. And he's like, well, I work in landscaping, man. I know about this kind of stuff. The not cleaning after the dog, that fertilizes the lawn. Said, no, it doesn't. The acid will burn the lawn. And I think, man, I've been cutting grass longer than you've been alive. Are you really going to tell me about this? And I said, the more you don't want the grass to grow back somewhere, the more it will. So I was not worried at all about this. So he just wanted to be stupid. He wanted to be lazy and sit around and do nothing and just have a free ride. And he was probably selling. I think he used to sell pot to cars who would pull up on the street because the neighbors would tell me about it. And that was how he made his money when he wasn't working in the wintertime. Oh yeah, you're making your money there, but you're not paying your rent, huh? I hear about what's going on. Don't worry about it, man. You don't know. You aren't here. Well, anyhow, the pothead is gone. He went off to some other loser apartment, and he is just still continuing to be a loser, I'm sure. He did not have any motivation at all. That amazes me. Even with some of these people, they are 20 some years old and they're at this stage of their life and they're just not doing anything. And this is good. You're enjoying living like this. Is this as good as it's ever going to be for you? Well, in his case, I think so. If he ever turned around and did good for himself, I would be amazed. But I guess I'll never find out because I'm sure he won't come tell me about it. Anyhow, that is our episode about the pothead. It was annoying and frustrating, but also satisfying when I kicked him out and when I would get him into a big text battle on the phone to see how much I could make him right back to me. All right, that's all for this episode. We'll see you you'll see me in the next episode for the heroin addict. Oh, he was a doozy. I always forget to say this in every episode. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. I always think this. Oh, actually, I never think to say it. I notice it every other video I watch. They always say like, comment, and subscribe. Well, I feel if you wanted to like, comment, or subscribe my video, you would do it. I don't have to tell you about it. And even if I did tell you, you wouldn't do it if you didn't want to. Whatever. Okay, you'll see me in the next episode.